What you're about to hear will shake you to your core. The wrestling world just got hit with news so devastating, so absolutely heartbreaking, that even the toughest legends in this business couldn't hold back their tears. And I'm not talking about storyline drama or manufactured emotion. This is real. This is raw. This is the kind of pain that reminds us that behind every entrance theme, every championship reign, every scripted rivalry, these are real people with real families who are facing real tragedies. Ric Flair, the man who never breaks character, just posted something that will bring you to tears. John Cena, in what might be his final public message before his retirement tour, said something so profound it's spreading like wildfire across social media. And if that wasn't enough, one of wrestling's brightest stars just revealed they're in the fight of their life against cancer. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button for daily updates about WWE Raw. But here's what's got me furious, and you need to stay with me because this is where it gets real. While the wrestling community is coming together in this moment of grief, there are people out there, keyboard warriors and so-called fans, who are using this tragedy to spread hate, division, and disrespect. And that ends today. Welcome to WrestleScope, where we don't just report the news, we honor the legacy, we celebrate the truth, and we call out the BS when we see it. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see this industry forever. Main story begins. Let me take you back to where this all started, because context matters. The wrestling industry, our industry, has always been a family. A dysfunctional, chaotic, sometimes toxic family, sure, but a family nonetheless. From the territories in the 70s to the Monday Night Wars, from the Attitude Era to today's global phenomenon, one thing has remained constant. When tragedy strikes, wrestlers don't see company logos. They don't see red versus blue, WWE versus AEW. They see brothers and sisters who shared the road, the ring, and the dream. Over the past 72 hours, that family has been tested in ways we haven't seen since the dark days of 2020. Multiple reports have surfaced about wrestling legends and current stars facing health crises that have left the entire community reeling. And before you ask, yes, we've verified these reports, yes, we've reached out to representatives, and yes, what I'm about to tell you is as accurate as it gets. The first shockwave came when news broke about a legendary figure in professional wrestling passing away. Now, I need to be crystal clear here because there's been a lot of misinformation floating around. Out of respect for the families involved and because some details are still emerging, I'm going to focus on what we know to be true and how the wrestling world has responded, because that response tells you everything you need to know about the legacy this person left behind. Social media exploded. Within minutes of the initial reports, every major wrestling figure from the past 4 decades began posting tributes. We're talking about legends who rarely use social media. We're talking about rivals who haven't spoken in years suddenly united in grief. We're talking about current superstars who never even shared a locker room with this individual but understood the magnitude of what was lost. Ric Flair's reaction. And then came Ric Flair's response. The nature boy, the dirtiest player in the game, the man who built his entire career on being the cool, calm, collected champion who never let them see you sweat. The 16-time world champion who survived plane crashes, heart attacks, and every conceivable challenge the wrestling business could throw at him. Ric Flair broke. His post, and I'm paraphrasing here out of respect, but you can find it on his official accounts, was raw, vulnerable, and absolutely gut-wrenching. He talked about the brotherhood of professional wrestling. He talked about the sacrifices, the pain, the glory, and the ultimate price that sometimes comes with living this life. He talked about memories that fans never saw, the car rides between towns, the late-night conversations in hotel lobbies, the moments of doubt, and the moments of triumph. But here's what got me, and here's what should get you. Flair talked about regret. The nature boy, who's lived more life than 10 men combined, expressed regret about not picking up the phone more often, about letting years slip by without reaching out, about assuming there would always be more time. You want to know why this matters? Because Ric Flair is 75 years old. He's survived medical emergencies that would have killed anyone else. He's been given second, third, fourth chances at life. And even he, with all his experience, with all his brushes with mortality, fell into the same trap we all fall into, thinking there's always tomorrow. The comment section under Flair's post became a digital memorial. Thousands upon thousands of fans sharing their own stories of loss, their own regrets, their own wake-up calls. Former wrestlers coming out of retirement from social media just to add their voice to the chorus of love and remembrance. But it didn't stop there. Flair did something unprecedented. He started personally responding to other wrestlers' tributes. Not through a publicist, not through a social media manager, Ric Flair himself, in real time, was having conversations with everyone from Hulk Hogan to MJF, from Sting to current WWE and AEW stars, creating this beautiful, heartbreaking tapestry of shared grief and celebration. John Cena's final message. Then came John Cena. Now, we all know Cena's on his farewell tour. We all know that 2025 marks the end of one of the greatest in-ring careers in wrestling history. We've been preparing ourselves for an emotional goodbye, but nothing could have prepared us for what Cena posted in response to this tragedy. I'm calling it his final message, not because he'll never speak again. Let's be real, Cena's going to have a massive platform for decades to come. But this message felt like a culmination of everything Cena has learned, everything he represents, and everything he wants his legacy to be when the smoke clears and the music stops. Cena's post wasn't just about the individual who passed. It was about the cost of this business. It was about the responsibility of those who remain. And most importantly, it was about the opportunity we all have right now. He talked about how professional wrestling has historically chewed people up and spit them out, how for decades the industry glorified working hurt, praised those who toughed it out, and looked down on anyone who prioritized their health over the show. Cena didn't mince words. He called out the old way of thinking as destructive, toxic, and ultimately fatal. But here's where Cena flipped the script in true Superman fashion. He talked about progress. He highlighted how today's wrestlers have resources previous generations could only dream of, how companies are finally starting to prioritize mental health, how the conversation around CTE and long-term health has moved from whispers in the locker room to boardroom discussions. Cena issued a challenge, not just to wrestlers, but to fans. He asked everyone watching, everyone who's ever chanted someone's name or bought a ticket, to remember that wrestlers are human beings, that the bumps are real, the pain is real, and the consequences are very real. And then he said something that's been echoing in my head for days. We don't get to choose how we're remembered, but we do get to choose how we treat each other while we're here. Let that sink in for a moment. John Cena, who spent 20 years being the ultimate company man, the face of WWE, the guy who never breaks character, just laid bare the fundamental truth of not just wrestling, but life. Your legacy isn't the championships. It isn't the WrestleMania moments. It isn't the merchandise sales or the 5-star matches. Your legacy is the impact you had on the people around you when the cameras weren't rolling. The response to Cena's post was massive, not just from wrestlers, but from athletes across all sports. NBA players, NFL stars, MMA fighters, everyone seemed to understand that this message transcended wrestling. This was about choosing kindness in a cutthroat industry. This was about building each other up instead of tearing each other down. This was about making sure that when your time comes, people remember you for how they made them feel. The cancer battle. And if all of that wasn't heavy enough, we got hit with more devastating news. A current wrestling star has revealed they're battling cancer. Now, this particular individual has asked for some privacy regarding specific details, and we're going to respect that. But what we can tell you is that this is someone who's been entertaining us for years, someone who's given their body to this business, and someone who now faces the toughest opponent of their life. The announcement came through an official statement that was equal parts heartbreaking and inspiring. This wrestler talked about the diagnosis, the treatment plan, and most importantly, their determination to beat this thing. They talked about the support from their wrestling family, from fans around the world, and from medical professionals who are giving them the best chance possible. But here's what got me fired up, and this is where I need you to pay close attention. Within hours of this announcement, the wrestling community rallied like I've never seen before. Rival companies, let me repeat that, rival companies put aside their differences to show support. Wrestlers who've never even met this person were posting messages of encouragement. Fans organized fundraising campaigns.
The hashtag supporting this wrestler trended worldwide. This is the wrestling community at its absolute best. This is what happens when we remember that there's something bigger than brand loyalty, bigger than imaginary wars between promotions, bigger than whatever online argument people were having 5 minutes ago. But, and here's where I need you to stay with me because this is important, not everyone got the memo. I wish I could tell you that 100% of the response was positive. I wish I could tell you that every single person rallied around this wrestler in their time of need. But we both know that's not how the internet works. There were trolls, there were cruel jokes, there were people, and I use that term loosely, who used this tragedy as an opportunity to score points in their imaginary console war between wrestling companies. There were disgusting comments about this person's in-ring style, their character work, their push, as if any of that matters when someone is fighting for their life. And to those people, I have one thing to say.